It's really common for someone to call us and say, I love my house, but it's not working anymore. Should I just renovate it or start from scratch and build a new one? And the answer is never really as simple as one choice being better than the other one. I've seen so many homeowners struggle with this decision, but in the end, end up making the right choice. So in this video, I'm going to drill down on the pros and cons of renovating and new construction to help you along your journey. And then I'll leave you with 5 questions that we ask every client to figure out which decision actually makes sense for them. So the first thing to consider, regardless if you're going to renovate or build a new home, is this a quality of life improvement or is this a return on investment value improvement for me? The reason that that's important to cover right in the beginning is that the cost of new home construction and major renovations oftentimes exceeds the value of the home. Meaning, if you wanted to sell this home a year from now, 5 or 10 years from now, you may not be in an equity position and come out on the top. So for most people that are in this situation that want to do a major renovation or a custom home, for them, it's a long-term investment into the quality of life. It's something that they are making a decision that they're going to live there for a long period of time, and they're probably going to hand it down to the next generation. So that's always the first thing to consider when doing a new home construction project or a major renovation, because you may do 2 different types of those things depending on your situation. So to close this topic, usually people are in 2 different buckets. It's either the concept of my family is only going to be this age one time. While my kids are young, I want to make this improvement or build this new house so that I can enjoy my quality of life while these precious moments are still here. Or they're of the mindset that I'm not going to live here very long, and regardless of that family dynamic, the investment just doesn't make sense, and maybe I'll make that bigger investment when I move next. That's usually how people break down whether or not this is a quality of life improvement now or something that is like a delayed gratification purpose. So I'm going to start off with the pros and cons of renovating first. Why somebody might renovate. So one of the biggest things that we see is people have made already a ton of improvements to their existing home. They don't want to give up those improvements. They love their neighborhood. Maybe they love the school district. And for a lot of people, they grew up in this home and there's a family legacy attached and there's a lot of sentimental value. So there could be a number of reasons why investing in this current home makes more sense than moving somewhere else, because you just cannot possibly see yourself giving up this neighborhood, this school district, or this home that has so many memories attached to it. So that's a huge driver that would lend itself to renovating or doing an addition versus building a new home construction project. So I have a really good example of this. About 5 years ago, we did a renovation for someone that was in Lake Ariel, and it was a farmhouse, and it was probably 100 years old, give or take. And the client knew that behind all of the plaster was literally trees. So the studs of this home and the rafters were made of trees that even still had bark on them. He had done some small renovations, enough to know that this thing was really old and extremely non-conventionally framed. But it was really important for them to be able to save and renew this house because it was his grandfather's house. That was the homestead of the farm. It was a very big property, and they were going to renew it and improve it and renovate it and have their family have the same legacy lifestyle that his grandfather and father had passed down to them through these generations. So for them, there was no way they weren't going to take advantage of that and renew that property. Whereas somebody else, if they had bought that property with no emotional attachment, they may have come in and said, oh, we're going to knock this thing down. It doesn't even have 2x4 construction on the exterior. So that just says that 2 different people with the same house, 2 different decisions can be made. But what is more important to you? Because neither one of them would have been the wrong decision, but what's right for you and the family is what we're trying to get to. I have another example of a project that we're doing right now. It's the old Drinker Street Pizza building that is going to be rehabbed completely for a brand new restaurant with the same owners. And there's a major investment that's happening into this building. Over $1 million will go into the renovation of this very old building, but it's a staple building in Dunmore. Everybody knows it. And the bones of the structure are just really, really good. So we probably could knock that building down and build a brand new one. And it may cost close to the same or a little bit more. But there's a building that is a key hub of that town that has been there for generations. And it's important for the past owners of Drinker Street Pizza, who are going to be the same owners, to renovate this building and keep it for the legacy that it has been. So for them, again, it makes sense to renew this building, rehab it, keep it a part of the town and the community, and just give it a fresh face. So somebody else, another investor may have come in that was a restaurant owner from some other part of the country maybe, and said, no, we're going to tear this thing down and build something brand new, because they have no attachment to the town. They didn't previously own the building. They didn't serve the community with their food for years. So two different people, same building, two different decisions. One's not right or wrong, but what's important is which one is the right decision for you to make. So another area to look at when deciding to renovate versus build new is that when you're renovating, the house already exists. There's already been a proven payment on the mortgage. The bank knows that that house there's security around it, right? So in order to renovate it or put an addition on, it's a lot easier for them to give you a loan on that already existing asset, because there's something that's there. It's tangible. There's a foundation in the ground, whereas a new home would be a completely blank piece of land. So not only is lending easier, but it's a little bit quicker if it's a renovation or an addition to the home. Sometimes it's a home equity line of credit that can close super quick, and sometimes it's a construction loan that is similar to building a new one. But regardless, it can be more secure for the bank if they could already see that there's a proven asset that they already own that they're lending against for that renovation project. So a definite factor that sets these two apart for renovations is it's a lot quicker to get into construction. So you already own the home, you already own the land, you don't need to do driveway permit. All of these things are already far behind you. And things like permits could be a lot easier and faster as well, because you don't need to go through maybe 7 different layers of red tape permit to get into construction. So we're starting off with, as far as design goes, an existing footprint that now we're just trying to modify and figure out how do we improve it. So sometimes that could be very simple because the modifications are pretty straightforward. So the design process could be quicker. So between design and permitting, where that may take a 3 to 4 month process, a renovation or an addition may only take 1 to 2 months. So there's a major difference between how long it takes to get into construction from renovating to new home construction. So the last thing that I would say about pros of renovating or putting on an addition is you could potentially live through the construction project while it's going on. So if you're doing an addition that is not near the sleeping quarters, you could set up a temporary kitchen maybe, and you could live there while the rest of the project goes on. Otherwise, if you're building a new home construction project, you may need to sell the old house before you build the new one because you can't carry 2 mortgages, or maybe the bank doesn't want you to. So doing a renovation may allow you to live in the space that you're already in, which means you don't have to upend your whole life, continue going to school, and all of those other things that are happening day to day without having to really completely reconfigure all of that and build a new house on top of it. So now we'll discuss some of the downsides of renovating. Right out of the bat, what comes to mind for me is all of the possibilities that are hidden behind the walls. So you could tear open the ceiling, you could tear open the walls or even the floor. You could find termite damage. You could find rot that took place from a really old roof leak. All of these things, maybe the walls aren't insulated properly, or the studs aren't adequate. A lot of things that could just be a surprise that you had no way of knowing beforehand, and then all of a sudden the budget increases. So a budget for a renovation and addition has a greater chance of increasing versus a new home construction project that is just a brand new project. It's fixed. We know the conditions of that new thing. So that's definitely an area of concern that could be negative on renovating or putting on a new addition. Another one would be design limitations. So on one hand, it could help you with design because you're stuck inside of a box and you're only going so far, so it keeps it simple. At the same time, if you really truly need certain things like more bedrooms or you need another bathroom, you may be limited by setback constraints. You might not be able to go forward or sideways or to the rear of your home because of your township setback requirements. So design can be quite limited. If you need specific things from your home that you don't have or we can't do as a renovation or an addition, then that's just going to drive this decision as a new home construction project and not renovating the space and trying to work with what we have right now. And then the last con that I would say for renovating or doing an addition is kind of contrary to being able to live in the home as a plus side. The downside could be it's noisy, it's dusty, and there's debris, there's dumpsters in your driveway, there's work personnel showing up at 7 a.m. People have different work schedules, kids go to school at different times. So that can be and is quite challenging. Some of the expectations or the emotional roller coaster for construction and living through construction is all about being subject to that construction environment. It's not what you think it is. It's pretty rough, actually. And so getting into that is kind of a big pill to swallow. So obviously building a new home construction project, if you could live nice and safe and secure where you are now and build that new home somewhere else, then that's something that completely goes away. Otherwise, we got to put our hard hats on and live through a construction project through the duration of the project. So now we're going to get into the new home construction aspect and what the pros are for building new versus renovating. So contrary to what we said before, building new allows complete design freedom. You can go up, out, under, in any direction that you want to go. You can design anything to the inch that you want to make it. The options are completely endless. So for design, it is the best version of being able to get what you need completely out of a new space for your family. Another area that could be very situational depending on where you live is inventory of homes could be very low. So we may be talking about you renovating, doing an addition where you live now, but you may also be thinking about buying a home and renovating it. So if you know that you need to leave where you are and buy a home and renovate it, then the options might just not be there because inventory could be so low, whereas land in that particular area could be a lot more available than renovation. So why would you be renovating somewhere else than where you live? Maybe you need to move to a new school district because your job changed or any reason similar to that. So if you are looking to move to another area for that reason, then land just might be a lot easier than finding an existing home because inventory is just pretty difficult. So we talked before about the pros or cons of living through a renovation but being able to live in the home. When you're building a brand new home, if you don't have to sell the old one, then that's the best living environment because you get to build the new home completely off-site while you live in the existing home that you're living in right now with no disruptions. So daily logs from us as the builder can show you what's going on at that job site. Even though you're not living there or on that site every day, you're still able to see what's going on in real time. I think that's the best luxury is if you're able to stay where you are, build the new home, then move into the new home and sell the old one. That would be the easiest life transition if that was something that you were able to do. So now we'll talk about the downsides of building a new home construction project. Right out of the gate, one of the hardest things can be getting a mortgage for the new home construction project because there's not a home there yet. Right now, in the beginning, all it is a blank piece of land. So you need to buy the land. There may be multiple transactions. You may need to get a loan on the land, and then you may need to get a loan on the new home. And then there may need to be multiple expenses up front like utility costs, driveway permits, and all of the red tape things that could come along with sort of the contingencies for you to be able to buy the land that the bank could knowingly give you a mortgage on. So there's appraised values that need to happen. There's a lot of things that need to happen between the bank and just the utilities from the very beginning and the onset of this brand new property, clearing trees. There could be tree limitations. Townships sometimes have their own regulations. So those things can definitely be a downside because they're just slow. They cost a lot of money up front. They're tedious, whereas a renovation, you don't have any of that, obviously. So those would be a couple things right out of the gate that are going to be difficult no matter what, but sometimes could be very challenging, if not impossible. So the last downside to building a new home construction project would really be how long it could take to secure the land, to get a mortgage on the land, to move through all the permits, and then the utility upgrades. Sometimes the road even needs to be improved before you access the new land. All of these things can take significantly longer than renovating where you are, where you're just going to move right into construction after the design process. So there's a lot of things that could maybe even double the time of being able to start a new home construction project versus a renovation project that may help you make the decision because you just can't wait that whole extra year and you have to renovate now because maybe your father or mother is moving in with you and they just need the space now and they can't wait a year. There's all kinds of things that we go through in life that drive time sensitivity. So not everybody knows all of the nuances that going into buying new land and building, and it's just not for everybody. So that's definitely an important item to cover, is how much time do I have and what's acceptable to me and my family. So here's 5 questions that will help you answer this for yourself. The first question is, how much of my current home works for me or doesn't work? The second question is, do you love your location and the school district that you're in right now? The third question is, are you emotionally attached to this place? Is there a legacy, family legacy tied to this thing for you? The fourth one is, do you want to control it more or do you want more convenience? Convenience would be staying where you are, and control would be the ability to design it completely the way that you want from scratch. And the fifth one is, can you handle the uncertainty? If there's things that are going to change, that are going to cost more or even drive design changes, can you live with that, or is that a complete deal breaker? If you're like most people in this situation, we'd be happy to answer some of the questions that you have and guide you through the process. Click the link below and give us a call. Visit our website. The link is in the description, and we'll talk to you soon.